Hello, this is Bowtie Dave here for Bowtie Life. Here to show you something I've done a couple of times, and hopefully I can inspire some beginners to not be afraid to do what I'm about to do. This intimidated me when I first did it, and I quickly learned that this is not intimidating. There are things that can go wrong, and I'm going to cover a few things, and this video is probably going to go a little long, but I want to give you a really good overview on my beginner's perspective on fermenting hot peppers. And like I said, I've done it a few times now. I love my hot pepper sauce. Oh, it is so good. The flavor is amazing. The consistency, everything about it. And this is the last of my first batch. And you can see it's getting low, and it's time to get some more. So I figured this would be a really good time to shoot this video, and maybe someone will get an idea on how to ferment hot peppers and make a hot pepper sauce. This is about the simplest procedure I have seen, and there is no sponsorship here today. All the products that I'm going to talk about here are just the things that we have either around the house or have gotten, what we do, and no sponsorship, just what we found works. And you don't have to have a whole bunch of fancy stuff to do this. I will talk about this ferment kit when it comes time, but it kind of changed things a little bit. In all reality, the first time we did it, we had a ball jar and parchment paper from Walmart. So you can do it however you want to, and I'll talk about that when the time comes. But there are a few things that you'll need. Of course, you'll need some peppers, and these are just peppers I have growing around the house. I have a lot of different kinds of peppers growing, and I don't have any serrano for this batch, but I don't think that's going to make a lot of difference. I have a scale. I have some garlic and onion that grew in the garden that we're going to add to this batch. I have just some, right now I'm using the Himalayan pink salt. The important thing about the salt, when we get to it, and I'll mention it again, you don't want anything with the iodine in it. You want this raw salt. And this here is all natural Himalayan pink salt. This salt does not supply iodide, a necessary nutrient. So that's what you want. You do not want that iodide in there when you're doing this, because apparently it'll do something and mess up your ferment. So I have a very cool garlic peeler we'll get to, and I have an infuser, and this is one of our recent purchases. It doesn't have to be this fancy. In fact, our first batch, we did it with an old blender. You don't have to have a lot of fancy equipment. This was I think this was actually like a $30 or $40 one on Amazon, maybe 50. It is not plugged in. It has a blade in the bottom. We'll get to that. But this has actually been very useful for us. We have just a cheap funnel for canning, and and very important, we have some rubber gloves because we're about to handle some very, very hot peppers. So, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, so like I said, my inspiration, I'm running out. I gotta have some more. I actually use this every single morning. I get 2 scrambled eggs and toast, and I put a teaspoon of this in my scrambled eggs, and oh, it is just dreamy. The flavor is amazing. And so, you know, I've played with different peppers this past couple of years, and I've kind of discovered a favorite, this Fatale pepper. It gets up to 350,000 on the Scoville scale. It is my hottest pepper. That is not super hot. I think Pepper X is close to 2 million. The Scorpion or the Carolina Reaper, a little over 1 million on the Scoville scale. These are the hottest I've had, and I'm working my way up. This was year 2 that I started these Fatali, kind of working my way up. I'm a few years away from Pepper X, which is the super hot. I'm a little scared of that, but I know if I grow it, I have to try it, and we'll have to see how that goes. See if I can get some challengers to try a Pepper X without passing out. No, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to do that. These are actually pretty hard. I've never actually eaten a raw one of these, but let me tell you something. This Fatali, it is a very hot pepper, but the flavor is amazing. It's a real flowery flavor, and I just love it. But you can see how much I've harvested over the past few days, and it's a beautiful pepper. It's this bright yellow. You can see the color range here. Now the thing about peppers is that the longer they stay on the vine, the hotter they get. So this one here is the older one. You see how you might see it's a little bit oranger. This is a little bit less orangey, more yellow. This thing has been on the vine a lot longer. It's going to be closer to 350,000. This one may be in the 200,000 range. I'm not sure, but they're still not open. They're not leaking inner juices, so I'm not too worried about the hot stuff. My second hottest pepper is this Thai hot. This is the one I get the most of. I do have a lot of the Fatali, but the Thai hot, this bush is almost 2 years old. This thing is still producing like crazy. Every single time I go out there are peppers on it. Every single time. And right now I harvested, I don't know, I probably harvested a little less than half of these, and there's already flowers on it. And it's getting ready for its next flush, and within a month I'm going to have another big flush. So that's under 300,000 on the Scoville scale. Those are my hot ones. The Tabasco, I have a few Tabasco. I don't have many Tabasco here, and I'm waiting for more. And that's Mrs. Bowtie. We're planning some stuff this weekend. And, anyway, I'm looking forward to Tabasco peppers. These are one of my new ones for this year. I'm trying to grow them. If you hadn't followed along, we've been having a little trouble growing new peppers this year. So we've got a new house, new garden, new everything. So we're trying to learn. But anyway, so the Tabasco runs 30 to 50,000 on the Scoville scale. The Dragon Cayenne, this is a 2-year-old plant. In fact, this one is kind of an interesting story. Oh, I'm sorry, this is a 3-year-old. This is from 2 years ago. This is an interesting story because the first tomato plant was the start I bought at Ace Hardware, one of the Bonnie plants, and before I tried to overwinter it, and it didn't make it through the winter, but before it gave its last breath, it gave 2 more pups, and I managed to save them out and plant them in a new pot, and those things are 2 years old now. This is their 2nd year producing, and they're not quite as prolific as those Thai hots, but they're really close. And right now, I harvested these, but I just noticed today it is full of blooms. So I'm looking forward to what we get with that. Another one is this Reza pepper. And this Reza pepper I got from Nikki. It's a Macedonian pepper. It's kind of interesting. This is the best one here. It has these little lines in it. Those are actually part of what it looks like. This particular one has a bite in it. I don't know if that means there's something in there. We'll have to inspect it. But and this one's actually kind of small. They get pretty big. These are all kind of shrivelly. So they're not in a good sunny spot in the garden. So that may be why they're not growing so well right now. It's never been a prolific producer, but I was given this Reza pepper, and I planted some seeds out of it, and I got 3 completely different peppers out of it. I got this Reza pepper from one, so I don't even know if it's a true Reza pepper. Oh, well, I know it's not, because another one of the seeds from the same pepper is growing me Hungarian black peppers. And these are These are about 2,500 on the Scoville scale, a little bit less than jalapenos. I do have some jalapenos here. They're kind of they're dark purple. Kind of a neat pepper. That third seed that I got out of the raisin, though, produced a red bell pepper. Wild thing, but yeah, I'm sure it looks black on the camera, but it's a very, very dark purple. And haven't had a lot of experience with that one yet, but we're gonna eventually save some seeds from that and see. And I have some random jalapenos. These are just filler. Yeah. So, do I have a bell pepper somewhere? I do not. So I'm not gonna have any bell pepper in this batch. Sometimes I have put bell pepper in there. Last batch that I'm going to show you here in a little bit, I put in a couple of cloves of garlic. I'm going to add, we got a little onion here that grew in the garden. I'm going to add that. I'm going to add 3 cloves of garlic this time. But all these peppers are going to go into this mix. And I'm going to keep track here of how much of each one I have posted on the Facebook feed. This is batch number 2 for Bowtie Life. It's my 3rd batch because I did one before I didn't measure anything. But we're just kind of playing with a mix of peppers and it's good. Oh my goodness, it's amazing. I'm just beyond excited because I love good hot pepper sauce, and the flavor's amazing. The heat is perfect. It's just a teaspoon gives just a little bit of heat to 2 eggs in the morning, and I love it. Oh my goodness, and this is actually a little chunky. The stuff we're making here is a little less chunky, but yeah, so let's get into it. I'm gonna set the camera on fast mode, and we're gonna cut these peppers. We're basically cutting the tops off and putting them in a bowl, and then I'm going to infuse them together and put some garlic in there, and that's the mix. So I don't know if you saw in that fast section of video, I actually licked one of the cut open fatale peppers. It's pretty hot, yeah. I'll tell you what, I've done that before, and when you just get it fresh like that, that floury flavor doesn't come out. It is quite potent. I didn't need to get milk, but boy, I was pretty close. These Thai hots, yeah, it's got a bit of heat too. I just licked it. I didn't get a seed. I didn't get nothing. I just licked it. So I've already gone through these as I was harvesting and got rid of any bad ones. So all these are good. I did have one jalapeno back there that I tossed out, but I'm pretty much just cutting off the green stems off of these. And some of these are really small, surprisingly small, but they still got some heat. Once they start turning red, they got some heat. And these Thai hots are my 2nd hottest. So any of you who are growing Thai hots knows it carries its weight. So the gloves, if you haven't dealt with hot peppers and you start cutting peppers and you touch a sensitive spot on your body, like an eye or your mouth, and you have a little bit of that juice, I've done it where I hadn't been dealing with very many peppers and not used the gloves. And then you touch your eye, and oh, it's very unpleasant. Anyone who's done it, I guarantee you will not forget it. It hurts a lot. So that's why I'm wearing the gloves. I am cutting a lot of these. In fact, one time I had strung up a lot of these to dry. I think it was the Dragon Cayenne, and there's a picture on my personal profile from, I think it was last year, but I had a string of hot peppers, and it was a pretty sizable string. There was a lot more than this, but I had strung them up with a needle and thread on some really strong thread. I put it around my neck to take a picture, and it was only around my neck long enough to take that picture, and my neck was burning the rest of the night and into the next day. It was unpleasant. So yeah, this capsaicin, which is the hot stuff, in the peppers, it's rough stuff. So just be careful when you're dealing with it. I'm cutting up with as many peppers as I'm cutting up today. I'm not gonna risk it, because I guarantee you, if I touched my eyes or stuck my finger in my ear or whatever, you know, you pick your nose or scratch down yonder, yeah, it's unpleasant. That's what's with the gloves. So back to the fast, quiet stuff. Oh yeah, I gotta weigh this. Hang on. So yeah, I am weighing each type of pepper, so I kind of know roughly how many of each type is in there. I'm weighing it in kilograms. So the Thai hot is 0.106 kilograms, 3 times as much Thai hot as there are fatali or jalapeno. So yeah, that's what I'm doing here. Back to the fast stuff. Okay, so I have all the peppers chopped up. Actually didn't take very long. Well, not chopped up. I just got them, got the tops taken off. And this infuser is going to do a good job of chopping them up, nice and safely too. I do want to get the onion in here. So this is kind of a failed onion from the garden, and we are in a new place this year, so I am learning our new soil. We got soil for the garden from the equestrian center, and so yeah, we don't know what to expect exactly, and the peppers are not doing too well. This here is a garlic peeler, and man, this thing is amazing. You can get them on Amazon. They're cheap. It's a little silicone tube. That's all it is. You stick the garlic in there, and you roll it back and forth, and boom, no more skin. It's gone. It's in there. That's it. It's the coolest thing. I've never seen anything like it. So I'm going to put 3 cloves of garlic in this recipe. Boom. Clean. I got a bad spot on that one. This is some of our failed garlic. We've had a rough year this year for our garden, so anyway, it happens. You learn and you move on to the next one. So it is easy as that to peel garlic. So there's everything in there together. Now for the hot time. This mix is going to turn into a slurry, and that's what I want out of this. Now I did add a dried raisa pepper that I've had sitting for a while. A little concerned about that, but I don't think it's going to matter too much. But this thing here, got to plug it in first. Thought I did, but you know, production. So there's a little blade in there. I'm not going to touch it. That was stupid. Do not touch that blade. There is a button here that you hold for turbo. There's another one. You can dial in a speed, but to be honest, we use the turbo and that's about it. Okay. I'm beginning to think the last time I did this, I may have used a mixer. I'm not sure. I thought I used this, but whew. Yeah, that's some hot stuff. Yeah. Definitely used a mixer last time. This was, whew, this is pretty rough. Oh my goodness. Mrs. Bowtie is not here to supervise. You just never know what I'll get up to. Yeah, I'm getting stuff everywhere. So yeah, you can see it's kind of a slurry here. Next time, remind me to use this mixer. Whew. So yes, there are seeds in it, there are chunks in it. I don't mind some chunks, but if you don't want chunks in it, you just keep going, keep mixing it down. Woo! Oh my goodness. This is some hot stuff here. Yeah, very hot stuff. Woo-wee. I'm liking this. Now the interesting, the interesting thing about the ferment is that the ferment actually reduces the heat. It takes care of some of that heat and brings out more of the flavor in the mix. And that's really where I get, and yes, I know I've got it everywhere. It's going to be a little bit of a cleanup mess after this. but really it reduces the heat. It's just so much better. So I tell you what, I think I'm going to end up probably infusing that some more after the ferment. Now the ferment, there is a organism that is on the peppers that creates the fermentation. And this is, you know, I don't know about you, but I grew up thinking, oh, germs are bad, don't want to have germs on me. And now we find out that we need to have bacteria, virus, germs, and fungus throughout our body. In fact, they're pretty sure that our bodies are made up of more cells of non-human cells than they are of human cells because of all the bacteria, fungus, virus, and other stuff that is living. And we talk about gut health, and fermentation stuff is really good for gut health. It's supposed to be amazing, and I've been playing around with gut health and in the past several years, and I've learned a lot, and I've actually changed my life quite a bit with what I've learned on gut health. So, all right, so there's my slurry that I'm going to ferment. You can see there's a little bit of juice in there, but it's pretty thick. I'm going to be putting this in that jar, and we're going to put it in ferment. I'm going to discuss a little bit about how to store it. Now this jar has been sterilized. Now it's been sprayed like everything else on the table with stuff from the mixer. I'm not going to do that again, don't worry. I have to take that and clean that before this bow tie comes home. All right, so next, what was I going to go for? Okay, so we need to weigh this. And here's the thing. Sorry, I'm in the other room. I wanted to get one more fresh bowl. I could have used that one, but that's okay. Here's the thing about fermentation. Number one, you're gonna need to get rid of the oxygen in the mix, which is not too hard to do. And number two, it needs to have salt in it. And the salt and whatever, it makes it ferment. And I am not the fermentation scientist yet, so I cannot tell you all the technical things about it. There are a lot of great lessons on fermentation out online, and I will share some of those on my Facebook. Let me get that out of the way for now. But the important thing about adding salt is that you need to add salt by weight. And by weight, okay, putting that over there. By weight, you need to have between 2 and 6% salt. And the best class I've taken, they picked 5%. They do 5%, and it's a good in-between weight for doing this. And so we want to find out what the total weight is on this, and we want to add 5% salt. So I'm going to spoon this in here. Whew, that is strong, 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 strong stuff. I can, if it were all onions, I'd be crying right now. Oh, that's wonderful. So we have 0.282 kilograms. And you'll notice I am writing everything down because I don't want to get a mistake. 0.282. We're going to pull up a calculator here. Try not to get any more pepper sauce on here. See if I can, oh, come on. Oh, I guess I can take this off now because my fingerprint will unlock my phone for me. There we go. Okay. So, 0.282 times 0.05, 5% equals 0.0141. Add that to 0.282 equals, so I need to make this weigh 0.296 kilograms to make it right. So there it is. Okay, that wasn't a lot of salt. It's not a lot of salt, but you got to add that salt to it to make the mix right for the fermentation process. So we got the salt on there. We got 5% salt mixture. I'm going to mix that in gently because I don't want to splatter this anymore. This is our final slurry that's going into the jar. And this is going to ferment for anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 or 3 months or more. It's really going to depend on when I start running out of this stuff again. So, all right, that looks pretty well mixed in. Okay, yeah, it is hot. Yeah, I'm not pulling out the infuser again, don't worry. That would just be more of a mess. So now we get our clean jar, and you really want to get a clean jar. It is very important to have a clean jar. And this is just a standard big mouth fermentation, canning jar. And I like to use this because it keeps the rim clean, but you can scoop it in here and it will go down in the jar real nicely. Our mix, the slurry, and the garlic cloves. I put a little bit more garlic in this time than I have ever before. I've never put an onion in, so I'm interested in seeing how that does. It wasn't a very big onion. So, all right. So now you want this to be, I'm going to take this off now. You want this to be pretty solid with no bubbles down there. And as I look around it, I can see there's a few little bubbles down there. It's pretty easy to take a chopstick or a knife and work your way around and throughout the mixture to get rid of any of those bubbles. Now remember, this has the salt in it because it's going to become important here in a minute. But the next thing is to make this sit for a while. And you don't stick it in the fridge. You need to put it on the counter. We actually put it in the back of one of our cabinets that we have. Some people put it on top of their fridge so it gets a little heat from the refrigerator. Boy, that looks really solid in there. I don't see any bubbles anywhere. Yeah, that is very solid. Okay, so the last thing I do when I make my ferments is, and notice I have a lot of spoons here for this very reason. I'm going to level out the top, and I am going to put a salt seal across the top of this. Now, once this is set, folks, don't go shaking this. Don't go tipping it. This is, I'm breathing on it. This is ready to go. But what we're going to do, now there's salt mixed in, okay? That's going to help with the ferment. But we are going to create a seal, kind of a seal, and put a coating of salt on the top layer here. That's pretty thick. You want to get everything well coated with the salt. So I'm not talking 1/8 of an inch of salt, but there is a bit of salt in there. And it's going to get mixed in once the ferment is over. But what that does is it keeps some of the mold from growing on top. Now, let me just say this about mold. Depending on what you do, you might get mold on the top of this. And if you open it and smell it and it smells fine, just take a spoon, get that mold off of there, redo the salt seal, put it back in storage. It is not gonna hurt you, okay? Now, if you open it and it smells funky, it's nasty, you forgot it for 6 months and now you've looked at it and there's mold this thick all the way across the top, that'll be a different story. Don't eat that. What we want to do now is we want to create a special seal. I'm going to show you 2 ways to do a seal on here. Now, the way we did it on our first batch, we actually took some parchment paper. And we took the ring and we just screwed it down on top of here. Now, that's enough for this thing to breathe, and it will breathe. This fermentation is already started, is going to breathe, and it's going to create pressure in there. And this is what we did the first time. We did have, I think it was a month and a half that we fermented, we had 2 little spots of white fuzzy mold that I just took off the top. There might have been another color in there at one point too. Maybe it was 3 times. But anyway, the parchment paper does good, and a lot of people, all they use is the parchment paper. But Mrs. Bowtie bought me this fermentation kit from Mason Tops, and we got this at Haas Tools. No sponsorship there. That's just where we got it from, and it was a very exciting purchase because it has some neat stuff in it. We'll cover some of the other things in here. There's stuff in here for fermenting things like pickles and other things like these. And there's good recipe book and very good instructions on everything. But there's like these glass weights that come with it. There's 4 glass weights. There is a pickle packer for packing down pickles, or whatever, or kimchi or sauerkraut, whatever you're fermenting. But I'm not going to use any of that. What I am going to use is one of these lids. Now, these lids are designed to breathe, to allow the fermentation to breathe out, but it will not allow anything to get in. So what you do, and this is a fermentation kit specifically for wide mouth jars. You put that on top of there. You put the ring on there. And folks, that is it right there. You let that sit for anywhere between 2 weeks and a few months, and don't move it. Don't go shaking it. You can check on it every once a week or so, but don't touch it. Don't shake it. Don't turn it. Don't tip it. Keep it very fragile, just like this. I'm going to take it, I'll put it in the cabinet, and it'll be okay. Woo! I can already tell the aroma has decreased around here. But this fermentation kit was probably the neatest thing we bought. We've used it a few times for some various things with some great success. But anyway, so after that sits for a month or so, you end up with something like this. And if I open this, now I have checked this once a week for almost a month. It's just been just under a month. But like I told you in the beginning of the video, I'm almost out. So I got to get some. So I got to have some more. And I started this, like I said, a month ago. So I look in here with this, and I look in the top, and that top is clean. Oh, it's fermented. Oh, I can smell it. Oh, that smells good. Oh, goodness. That's a completely different effect from the stuff I just mixed up. So we did do a salt seal on the top of this. I'm going to take some of that salt off, and it's kind of colorized a little bit. But this ferment is done. What will happen here? All right, ready? I'm just going to dig down a little bit, try just a dab. It's got a different flavor. Different flavor from the, ooh, yeah, it still got some heat. It still has the heat. We got the heat. Oh Lord, yes, we've got heat. It's a different flavor though. Woo! So this thing, I'm going to stop its ferment. And the way I'm going to do that, I'm going to put on a lid. Now, actually, I probably should leave this on a little longer. I'm going to stick this in the fridge. I hadn't put this in the fridge yet. It's been out of the fridge, fermenting, under the sink, in a cabinet, on top of the fridge, somewhere out of the way where you're not going to do it, and it never gets shaken, it doesn't get bumped. Again, another thing is, some people will actually put this on a bowl. I've got enough headspace in here, I'm not really too worried about it in this one. Sometimes they do go over. Ooh, yeah. That's hot. Ooh. So, That's your ferment. That is ready to use product. Now what I do with this is the end of it. What I do with this, I'm gonna stick this in the fridge now and it's gonna stop that. It's gonna ferment a little bit, but not much. In about a week, I'm gonna put a good lid on it. And this is a good lid. It was used for something, but it was cleaned. But in a week or two, I'll put a lid on it. Whew, yeah. It's got some good heat. It's got an interesting flavor. So what I will do is I will put some in this jar, this very jar. I'll fill it up to about here, and then I will put in about that much distilled white vinegar. And just that much. Now some sauces, it's 50% vinegar. Some sauces, it's half vinegar, half this stuff. Some people like more vinegar. You really have to go with what you like. So actually, I said that's what we're doing next. Next thing I'll be doing here, when I'm ready to fill that, I'm gonna infuse this some more with the infuser. Except I'm gonna do it in a jar. Hopefully it won't splash around as much. That's hot. Oh, it's gonna be a good batch. Woo! Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So I'll fill it up to about there. With this stuff, I'll put about that much distilled white vinegar, and I'll have my hot sauce. I'll also be giving a couple of bottles away. Brett, I know Brett loves this stuff. I think Bernard probably likes some of this stuff. There's a few of you, if any of my friends here locally would like a little bit of this, I got some little jars that I'm going to be giving away from this batch. So there you go. That's my stupid little guide to how to ferment hot peppers and make hot pepper sauce. So this is going away. This is going to the fridge. That I'm going to use up here in the next few days and start replacing. And so I hope maybe you learned something. Maybe you were inspired to give it a shot. This ain't perfect. This is fun stuff. And I'll tell you what, if you can get the fermentation kit with these little lids, I was so pleased. This batch right here came out clean. It was beautiful, just beautifully clean. And so I have good hopes for that next batch. So I'll be harvesting more peppers. Hopefully, I have a long time. This is going to last me a while. That's going to last me a while, but when I start running out again, I want to be able to make a whole quart or two of peppers. So I'm going to be cutting peppers and collecting them and getting ready for the next batch. So if you're not on our Facebook page, be sure and go over to like the Bowtie Life Facebook page, because that's where I'm going to share this recipe, the mix on this one here. And you can also find the mix on this recipe as well. But from June 26th, I think it was, and this is July 22nd. So we're just under 4 weeks of fermentation. And yeah, that's really good stuff. I like the ferment. It does have a decent ferment. I like it longer. I'm gonna be happy to have this set for at least 2 months though. And we'll see where we can go from there. So be sure and like this video, share it with anybody you know that might want to be inspired to make fermented hot pepper sauce. Tabasco sauce is a fermented pepper sauce. There's a really interesting process with that. The recipes on these things, it's amazing what some of these places do, and what they put in there, and yeah, so it's fun stuff. This just gets me excited. I'm really thrilled with this the heat on this. It's going to continue to do that ferment in the fridge a little bit, but once you get the distilled white vinegar in there, it really becomes just a solid mix, and there you go. So hope y'all got something out of it, and as always, have a blessed day.